Okay, I'm letting everybody in, Dr. Mitchum. It's 6 o'clock.
So welcome to everyone. For some, it may be in the afternoon, late in the day, or the evening, but we're so happy that you've joined us. We're just taking the time to let persons into the Zoom room. So we ask for your patience while we're doing that, while we're letting them in. We look forward to sharing with you today on this MLK Day. We thank you so much for joining us for Food Choices and You in 2022. We are just allowing people to come into the Zoom room. Just another minute. We want to allow as many as possible as we begin to enter in. And we're playing a little video for you with some important information, and I'll play it again for you. Take the time to read it. Okay, so let's get started. We again welcome you. And again, as I said, you may be joining us in the late evening, early evening because we have shared this certainly throughout the United States, and we've even shared it internationally. But we're so happy that you've joined us for What You Need to Know, Food Choices and You in 2022. This is a virtual town hall. It's a faith-based call to action, and you will have an opportunity to possibly win a healthy gift during this virtual event. We'll explain more about that. And as you see, we're going to begin in just a few minutes with our healthy ingredient swap and demo. I'd like to introduce the experts and friends that are going to be a part of our panel and a part of this wonderful event that we have planned for you. And so we have Dr. Columbus Baptiste, MD. He's a cardiologist. Donna Green Goodman. She has a master's in public health, also is known for her plant-based soul food cooking and her knowledge and information about the variety of ways that we can make sure that we get more of those foods that grow from the ground in our diet. And she will explain more about what she does within the community too. And then we have Minister James Tate, a pastor. He'll explain to you how when he started a new journey of eating a different way or a healthier way, how he lost a lot of weight, but also the wonderful ministry that he has for youth and the wonderful ministry he has in his church. So we're excited to hear more about that. And then Jalicia Claytor, she's the YPD 3rd District Recording Secretary. And you know, the YPD, the Young People's Department of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, is a very large organization within the church. And we're excited to have Jalicia Claytor. She represents our young adults and helping us to understand how we can reach young adults in the area of health and wellness and nutrition. And then Bishop Francine Brookins, she is the chair of the International Health Commission of the AME Church, and Reverend Dr. Miriam Burnett, she's a medical doctor, and she is the medical director of the International Health Commission of the AME Church. And then James Wilson. James Wilson is a member of the Word Church there in Ohio. He also has extensive knowledge in how we take care of this earth and is really concerned about us being good stewards of this planet. And he's also our tech for today. And I am the Reverend Dr. Natalie Mitchum. I am a registered dietitian, and I also serve as the executive director of the International Health Commission of the AME Church and the pastor of Quinn Chapel AME Church. We are excited again about this partnership where we want to share the importance again of health and wellness, but also the importance of reading labels, reading nutrition labels so that you can be informed of what's in your food. And this town hall is being sponsored together with the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition. And we're excited for the partnership as we work with them locally there in Ohio. So again, as we move along, we hope that you will take notes. So get a pencil and a piece of paper and be ready to be empowered and equipped and educated as we take this journey together in 2022 to promote health and wellness within your life. So we're excited about that. We're moving along, and some of you have already seen this video, but it doesn't hurt to see it one more time in just a minute. But at this time, I would like to introduce Bishop Francine Brookins and Reverend Dr. Miriam Burnett to bring greetings. Know that they were having a little bit of a trouble connecting. So at any time that Bishop Francine Brookins is able to join us with her connection and Reverend Dr. Miriam Burnett, we will circle back to them. And as also, since this is a faith-based call to action, you know that we want to start with prayer. So let us pray. Most dear gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you, God. Thank you for this opportunity for us to serve, God, because that's what you called us to do, God. Many of us, we are ministers on this Zoom, but others of us, we are the lay person, the congregation, we are part of the community. But as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, that all of us can be great because all of us can serve. So tonight is a night of service, a service to the faith-based community, a service unto those who we want to allow them to, again, be empowered and equipped, as the scripture says, with more knowledge, because the Bible also says that we are destroyed by lack of knowledge. So It is our aim, it is our goal with your help, God, because we can't do anything without you, God. We can't teach, we can't educate without your Holy Spirit guiding us and speaking through us, God. So God, as we do this, as those of us that you've allowed us to gain this information, either through degrees or through expertise or through experience, God, we just thank you, God, that we're able to share with our brothers and sisters all across the United States, within Cleveland, Ohio, all around the world who may be joining us. We thank you for this opportunity to serve and to be a part of helping many to find ways to improve their health. We pray this prayer in the name of Jesus. Amen and amen. Okay, so the first part first thing I would like to share with you next is that during this virtual event, we will select names, the panelists will select names from the participants box, you know, the list that's on the side there, and you will have an opportunity to win a digital gift card from a healthy food gift box or a digital Visa card. If your name is called by one of the panelists as we're moving through, what I ask you to do is to please send me an email to healcommission@aol.com. Please take the time, please take the moment or the time to write that down, healcommission@aol.com. If your name is called, then we want you to send an email to me at healcommission@aol.com by Wednesday, January the 19th, 2022, so that we can confirm your email and make sure that you receive the gift that you have won. You also see to the side there or in the screen a few examples of healthy gift box that you may win depending on availability. So we just want to show you a picture of what could be coming your way, again, depending on the availability, or you may receive a Visa gift card, a digital Visa gift card if your name is called. So we hope you stay to the end. Another thing that's very important, you know, don't sit there all the time while we're presenting. It's important to stand up. You know, we're going to share a wonderful information with you, but every once in a while, stand up and stretch, you know, and so that you can get the blood flowing. And it's also important for us to promote good fitness. Today is also Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Day, and it's a day of service. And we are praying that the John R. Lewis Freedom Bill will pass. Because what we're doing when you do a town hall, it's about engaging the community, and we couldn't let an opportunity pass without recognizing that today is MLK Day. And as I said earlier, a quote from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is, "Everybody can be great because everyone can serve." Today, we are serving by empowering and equipping everybody with knowledge on the benefits of nutrition labels and choosing and preparing plant-based meals, plant-based powered meals. That's a lot. Not to say, a mouthful, wouldn't you say? And you might say, well, why plant-based powered meals? I'm glad you asked. I would like you to take a look at this healthy eating plate. This healthy eating plate comes from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health Nutrition Source. And as you take a look at this plate, you'll see that the star of this plate is something that I always like to say, the star of this plate is not meat. Although for many of us, most of our life, especially in the United States of America, meat has been the star of our plate. But when you take a look at this healthy eating plate, again, from Harvard Medical School, you will see that the star of this plate is what, everybody? Don't unmute yourself, but you'll see that it's vegetables, food that grows from the ground. Plant-powered food is the star of this plate. So you have the vegetables, you have the whole grains, you have the fruit, and then you do have healthy protein. And you'll notice that it says when you're choosing healthy protein, choose fish, poultry, beans and nuts, to limit red meat and cheese, avoid bacon, cold cuts, and other processed meats. So today, we're going to focus on how we all can increase those plant-based foods in our diet. Why? Because you're looking at a healthy plate, a healthy eating plate, again, from Harvard Medical School. We also encourage you to take a 10 to 21 day challenge. And we're taking that from the book of Daniel. There may be some of you right now that you are on a Daniel fast, because many churches go on a Daniel fast in the beginning of January. And so you know that for 10 days, the Bible tells us that they were tested. And just to read a little bit of it, or please test your servants for 10 days, the Bible says in Daniel chapter 1, and give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. And then verse 15, at the end of 10 days, they look healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So we're inviting you to take a 10 to 21 day challenge of doing what? Of increasing the amount of plant-based powered foods that you select, that you choose in 2022, and that you make plant-based foods your main dish and meat your side dish, okay? We hope you'll join us in that challenge. So now, moving forward, we said that we would begin with what we're calling the healthy food swap. And so what we're going to do is I'm inviting Dr. Columbus Baptiste and Dr. Gave her a title. How about that, Donna? Gave you a title. And Donna Green Goodman, both my very good friends. They're going to go with us. We take a look at breakfast, lunch, and snack. And we're going to take a look at how you can swap in some healthy ingredients in 2022. So, Dr. Columbus, as you take a look at this meal, this standard American breakfast, tell me what concerns that you have regarding this meal as a cardiologist.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? I really appreciate this program. This is phenomenal putting this on. And there's no better time than right now with Martin Luther King Day for us to really acknowledge the power of our choices to make a change in our health and the way in which we interact inside the environment. When I look at this food and I look at this meal, first I have to applaud someone for eating breakfast because breakfast has been shown to be beneficial. But the problem is, as I look at this plate, I see several things. I see eggs, which have been shown to increase the burden of risk inside African-American community for prostate cancer. I see processed meats. I see the sausage links, which is associated not only with heart disease, as well as with cancer too as well. And this, and combined with the pancakes, although many of us may feel that they're tasty and they look good and all the above, the problem is this ultra processed food. What do I mean by ultra processed food? It melts in your mouth, not in your hands. It means that it doesn't require you to chew very often before it starts to kind of slide down your throat. And this food here has been associated with increased burden of cardiovascular disease, as well as diabetes and all the chronic ailments. So this food, especially packaged up, given to our kids, also has been shown to impair learning and memory. And so it can be a significant detriment to our future as an overall community and group.
Thank you. And now, so Donna, what are you going to make for us?
Well, I'm going to make a smoothie and I'm going to scramble an egg replacement that you can use in place of eating the eggs that are there. For many years, one of the first things that we recommend to people who are stopping the consumption of eggs is to use something made from tofu. And tofu comes in a variety of packaging and processing. This one looks more like cottage cheese, and we're going to use the silken one a little later when I show you how to make the pound cake. You can take this and crumble it up. You can slice it up and add your favorite seasonings to it, adding turmeric to it, which is a powerful anti-inflammatory seasoning, and season it with onions and bell peppers and whatever else you like to put in your eggs. And you can use this as an egg replacement. And that's pretty much what I used to use all the time. But recently there is something that's been created called Just Egg, which is made from beans, a mung bean, which kind of looks like a lentil. And this is available at most grocery stores. It was very expensive when it first came out, but it's dropped in price tremendously and is available at places like Walmart. I've already got my pot here. It is a nonstick, and I sprayed a little bit of oil in there, and I'm going to add this egg to it, egg replacer. And what I want to say is that when you're using replacements like this, they cook a little differently than the animal products that you're used to because they're made from vegetables and fruits and nuts and grains. And so just watch it a little differently than you would the other. I have learned that if you're going to use the just egg, you need to cook it on medium, don't fry it on high, or it'll be a hot mess. Then you can add whatever seasonings you want to it. And I have some of my favorite seasonings here. And if you want to up the taste of egg to it, you can find something called black salt, which is available at most East Indian grocery stores. And it smells like, tastes like egg. And so for my husband, who loves eggs, he will take some of this and put it in his salad. We will add it to the eggs when we're making these scrambled egg substitutes. We will also add it to potato salad. If you grew up eating eggs and potato salad, you can use this. The sulfur that's in here is very strong and it tastes just like egg. But like Dr. Petit said, you don't have to worry about the saturated fat or the cholesterol or increasing the risk of diseases that we don't have to have. And then on a side note, I was a home economist before I became a public health educator. And it was interesting to me to find out that this whole breakfast menu did not come about because it's healthy for us. Back in the 40s, they hired a man who literally promoted things. And he asked about 5 doctors, do you think that eating bacon and eggs would be a good heavy breakfast? And they said yes. So he asked several more doctors in order to have the evidence to promote this. And that's how we started eating scrambled eggs and bacon and sausage for breakfast. Not because it was healthy, but because this man was promoting it for the industry who wanted to sell it more. And in my interactions with African people around the country and around the globe, I have found that that's not typically what we eat. We typically eat something different than that for breakfast. A lot of us who have acculturated to this, of course, we do it. But when you're talking about eating breakfast in the morning, you can eat this healthier version of this food. Or if you want to eat collard greens and cornbread, or a bowl of soup, or a sandwich, or a smoothie and a biscuit with a veggie sausage on it, that's something that you can do as well. Okay, I'm watching this cook over here. I don't want it to burn. And I'm going to dish that up for you when it's done, and I'll show you some things that you can do with it. One of the other things that you can do is make a smoothie. And this is something that my husband does every day. He loves pineapple, strawberries, and bananas. That's his standard until I introduce him to some other stuff. I have mango, strawberry, pineapple, and pomegranate in here, and a piece of ginger. If you like your smoothie to be thick, I would recommend using frozen fruits. A lot of people put ice in it, but when you put the ice in there, it starts to melt and that dilutes it. And I really don't like it when it's like that. So I'll use frozen fruit. And then you can use whatever you like to add to it to blend it up. You can also, I've seen Natalie, Dr. Natalie make one where she put green veggies in it. So you can put things like kale or spinach. If you wanted to add nuts to it, you could add nuts to it. You could also make these for children and make them into so that they can have a popsicle for breakfast. And what I have added, I like to usually add a milk to mine. So I've added, we had some of this left over. The eggnog by Califia Farms, that is all plant-based, and we love this in our smoothie. And so that's what I put in here to blend it. And we're gonna see if this will blend up right now, because you know we live and everything happens crazy when we're live.
So yes, as Donna is mixing that, as she said, there's plenty of different ways to make your smoothies. The one that I like to make every morning, and I do have a smoothie every morning because one time I was on a webinar and I was listening and someone was saying, well, they were concerned about you lose the fiber when you make your smoothie. And certainly, you know, you are mixing it and you are blending it. However, there's some things that you can do to add that back in. You can blend it for a shorter amount of time, but I also add in a ground flaxseed into my smoothie in the morning. That adds in the fiber, and I also add in some chia seeds. So those are just two examples. You could also add in some oatmeal, you know, the old-fashioned whole oats. You can put that in there and just blend it up, and that would add the fiber back in. Because bottom line is, making that smoothie in the morning, because it's plant powered, you're starting the day with getting those fresh fruits and vegetables in.
You can see how this looks. We have one of the types of blenders where you can actually put the top on to carry it with you. So if you're in a hurry in the morning, you can do that. I'm not as worried about replacing fiber. I'm more concerned about if you go into Walmart or you're driving through on your way to work and you stop in one of those coffee places and get one of their smoothies is not whole fruit. But when you put whole fruit in here, along with the things that Dr. Natalie mentioned, you are increasing your fiber just by adding those ingredients. And the whole strawberry, the whole pomegranate seed, all of that has plenty of fiber. And for people who are concerned about the sugar and diabetes, it's released over a period of time more slowly because your body has to do the work to get the nutrients out of it, breaking it down by the fiber that the Creator God put there. What I have here, I wanted you to see up close, and these are the scrambled just eggs that look pretty much like eggs. I have not put anything in here like cheese, but usually we'll add cheese to it. What I'm going to serve this with today, I have a bowl of grits. When I first met my husband, he used to make this thing called gruel. I had no idea what he was talking about, but he would literally every day have grits with eggs in it and some kind of sausage. And that's something that we have started doing as a family. So I have grits. Are grits good for you? Well, of course they're good for you. They're made from a grain called corn. And what I recommend is that instead of eating the traditional grit that you get in the grocery store, look for old-fashioned grits that are made from whole corn. Whether they are white grits made from white corn or yellow grits made from yellow corn. When you look at the ingredients, it doesn't say it's enriched with anything like those pancakes were on that picture that you showed us. It is just nothing but the corn that has been dried out and ground up, which brings a lot of fiber and vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients to it. Now, something that you're familiar with, grits in the morning, these scrambled eggs, and then I have taken some veggie sausage and I've browned that, and we're gonna put that on top. If you need to, my husband would have two. And then if you want to, you can sprinkle a little non-dairy cheese on top of it. I think I'm gonna go with Colby Jack. And of course, this is something that you can make on the weekend. A lot of people cook ahead of time and have these ready so that all the person has to do is pull it out of the refrigerator and they're good to go. What about the meats that you can use in place of the traditional meat that you're used to eating? There are so many of them on the market if you want to use them. And I've got a couple examples here. Beyond Meat makes two types of breakfast sausages. One is a patty, the other is a link. Beyond Sausage makes a hot Italian sausage that's good. I use the Gardein breakfast sausages for this today. And Morningstar Farms, which has been around for generations, has recently begun to make more of their foods totally plant-based. What if you don't want to eat any of these at all? There are some other things that you can do. You can make patties yourself from oats or nuts or other grains and season them with things like sage and garlic, onion powder. And that will give you the sausagey taste, and you don't have to buy any of the products that you're used to getting. How does this sound for the beginning of the start of breakfast for you, Dr. Natalie?
That looks awesome. That looks awesome. Thank you so much. Now what we want to consider, lunch. So we're taking a look now at lunch as we are going back to Dr. Columbus. What do you think about this lunch? What concerns you, again, as a cardiologist, what concerns you about this lunch?
Yes. That lunch looks like a typical lunch that I perhaps was served when I was inside medical school training. That tells you the paradigm that needs to be shifted as it relates to medical education inside this country, and that's beginning to happen. So I'm seeing French fries, I'm seeing burgers, I'm seeing Subway or hoagie sandwiches there. And so what that spells to me is that spells fast food consumption, right? And so when I think of fast food, this quick serve food, what studies have shown is that by ingesting one serving of fast food per week, it increases your risk of heart disease by 20%. 2 to 3 times per week, 50% increased risk of heart disease. 4 or more times per week, nearly 80% increased risk of heart disease. And it's no surprise, who are some of the highest consumers of fast food? African-American women at a clip of 43% have consumption of fast food. And so we're saying the boundaries and the parameters for our families and for our environment. So when I see this and I see the saturated fat, once again, I see the fried foods, that studies have shown that when we fry our foods, especially this meat products, that increases the burden, the risk of high blood pressure, which there is a crisis, and nearly 3/4 of African Americans have some form or fashion of high blood pressure. And even a greater clip are poorly controlled in terms of their treatment. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing a landmine that's keeping people coming back to me on a regular basis. And that when you begin the process of substituting some of these products, and for some, that substitution may be 100%. For others, what I would say is, let's start your meal with a salad, right? Let's get in some green leafy vegetables before you have any of this. Let's go ahead and focus on what you are eating for your health that is going to purely enrich your body and enrich your soul.
Thank you so much. And so with that, we want to show you a few lunch items that I did make for you. So this is a chickpea of the sea sandwich. I don't know how well you can see that, but this is made with chickpeas, everybody. We even served this at our Head Start program for the children. And so what I did was I took a can of chickpeas, as you see right there. And then if you have took my little Ninja processor, just chopped it up a couple of times. You could smash it if you want to with a fork, but I put it in my little Ninja. So if you have one of these, they're so powerful. And then what I did was I added in some garlic powder. Was that onion? Onion powder, some garlic powder. And then I also added in, to give it, because as I said, it's called chickpea of the sea, I added in some seaweed. So the little seaweed snacks that you see, and what that does is it gives you that fishy taste that you were looking for in a tuna sandwich. So I'll show it to you again. This is chickpea of the sea. And again, even at our Head Start preschool program, the children are eating chickpea of the sea. So that's something that you can try. Another thing that I did for you, and my friend Donna mentioned this actually is, and I didn't want to cover it up too much, but this is ground tofu. And what I did with this ground tofu is I chopped it up. Again, you can put it in the food processor. And what it does is it makes it look like ground chicken and ground turkey. And I put it on some blue organic chips that you can get at the store. And what I added to then again was some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some cumin. But not only that, what you can do, and again, I didn't want to cover it up, but what you can do from there, you can take some salsa, add it to it and put it on top of it. And certainly, as was mentioned, there's a variety of plant-based cheeses that you can put on, and then you can stick it in the oven. And what I've also learned from my friend Donna, you want to cover plant-based cheese up when you are trying to melt it. So when you stick it in the oven or in your or the device that you're using to heat it up, cover it up so that it will melt for you. Some other things that you can do, this is actually chopped pecans inside of a little Ninja. Chopped pecans can also work as a meat replacement for you. So nuts, and here's the thing, beans and nuts, they have protein in them. And how do I know that? Well, if you look at the back, because it's important to read labels, because that's the other thing where we want you to get from this. It's important for you to read food labels. And as you saw in our little video, we want you to especially look at the fat content, the salt content, and the sugar content. So for the fat, the sugar, and the salt, you want to make sure that it is no higher than 20%. So a good range is between 5% and 20%. So as I'm looking at these chickpeas, it says that there's 19%, so 19% of sodium, okay, so it's in the range. And then for the fat, it says that it's 2% for the fat, and No sugar in it at all. So there you go. So you want to make sure that you read the ingredients, and then how much protein someone's asking. 6 grams of protein in these chickpeas. And a lot of times we don't think about protein coming from foods that grow from the ground. Even in Donna's smoothie that she was putting in there, certain items that you can add to a smoothie. That's why I love to put green vegetables in my smoothie. You've all seen the spring salad mix. I just take a handful of that, throw that in my smoothie, and of course your flaxseed and your chia. Now, some of you might say that you sometimes don't have time to make things from scratch. So what at the store, even though we encourage you eating whole plant-based food, there are sliced items that you can buy, such as this tofurkey. It's a turkey flavored tofu. And I know somebody's saying, oh, tofu, but people around the world eat tofu. And I invite you, try it. Don't knock it until you try it. I'm looking at some of your faces. Try it. You might find that you like it. Then in place of a regular beef burger or turkey burger, there's wonderful choices like this lentil burger. It's very delicious. I happen to get this from Aldi's. There's black bean burgers that you can get. So let's turn that around. Black bean burgers already ready for you to cook up real fast, or as Donna said, you can make them on your own. Then if you're still looking for something to be close to that beef burger or look like that beef burger, of course, there's all the different plant-based burgers that are out there. One of the other things that I did mix inside of my chickpea of the sea that I didn't mention was Hellmann's has a vegan version. Some of you need to look for that. This vegan version will not contain eggs in it. Okay, so you want to take a look. Again, we want to make sure that you are reading the food label.
Unmute yourself, Dr. Natalie.
Thank you, thank you very much. So you want to make sure that you read the food labels again. I don't quite know where I got muted there. Where you read the food labels again, okay? And here on this food label, we're looking for things. We wanted to be between 5% and 20%. Anything above 20% when it comes to fat, sugar, and sodium, that's too much. So I'm looking on here, it says 4% for sodium for this one, and the fat is at 10%. So I want you to check this out when you're making your items. And in place of those French fries, because sometimes you do want something with a little crunch, again, as long as you are reading the labels, which we're encouraging you to do, and know what's in your food, that's very important to you. And you want to pay attention to the serving size and the number of calories, because in some cases, you might find yourself eating the whole bag and you've eaten 8 servings. Okay, this is 8 servings of these blue corn chips. And so when I'm looking at this label again, I said I want to look at the fat. It says it's 8%. I'm looking at the sodium, it's 3%. And then I'm looking at the total sugars, it says 0%. And this actually has 2 grams of protein in it. So protein is not only found in food that comes from animal products, everybody. Protein is found from food that grows from the ground. So that's why we're encouraging you to eat more plant-powered foods. And remember, at the beginning, because some of you might have joined us late, we showed you a healthy eating plate from Harvard Medical School. And that healthy eating plate from Harvard Medical School says that a healthy plate is a plate that is mostly plant-based. Yes, it talks about that, if you eat meat, eat fish or poultry, that is a smaller portion. And as RDs, we've always taught you to do what? Look at the palm size of your hand. So if you are a meat eater, then you don't want to eat a larger size of meat than your palm. So everybody look at your palm for a second, okay? And keep that in mind, because when you're eating with your family and you're eating with family members of different sizes, sometimes we go out and we buy a package of meat and we give everybody the same amount, but everybody doesn't need the same amount. And what we also want to encourage you again is that protein is found in foods that grow from the ground. So now we've taken a look at breakfast and we've given you some suggestions. We've taken a look at lunch and give you some suggestions. And now let's take a look at this dinner plate and see what Dr. Baptiste thinks about this dinner plate that I'm going to show you. Soul food. We love our soul food, especially in the faith-based community, Dr. Columbus. You know how it is. Those annual days, They're looking for the mac and cheese, the collard greens, the fried chicken. Oh my goodness. If we to get ourselves, to understand that there needs to be some changes. So what do you think about this plate?
Wow, when I look at that plate, it brings back memories. But I'm gonna tell you, now in my recent life, I would say those aren't good memories. Here's the thing: when it comes to this, first thing that pops up to me, this meal is actually larger than the breakfast. And so one of the things that recent studies have shown is that we want to eat like a pauper towards the end of the day. You want to eat like a king at the beginning. You want your breakfast to be a larger proportion of your food that you ingest. That's the first thing that jumps out to me about this dinner plate. But when I look a little bit deeper at what we're calling this as soul food, as food that is our culture, it's our heritage, and the reality of it is the only thing that I'm seeing there that's truly our culture that steeps back to West Africa are the greens. Right? I see the greens because, the greens, we know beans, these are things that are steeped in our culture. But this idea of soul food as what's pertaining there, it originates from something that was crafted and shifted. And so what we know is that this can be harmful. We've talked about this. And so we have to not think in terms of our food just solely in terms of the harm or the benefit, but in terms of creating new memories around foods that are going to be health promoting, foods that can kind of shape our environment and look at the resiliency of our forefathers and forebears, right? In terms of growing gardens. You see this lovely garden in the back of my background here. I wish this were my garden, but my practice keeps me from gardening quite like this. But when we enrich ourselves with turnip greens and mustard greens and okra and things of the earth, that's where we get our power. These provide us with dietary nitrates that help dilate our vessels, lower our blood pressure. When we begin to engage inside of foods that have different colors, the eggplant, the berries, all these things deliver our body rich, powerful medicines that help keep us from cancer. So I see hidden inside this plate vestiges of power that's within our grasp that we can take hold of, that can really transform and end these things called health disparities. So that's why I want to encourage everyone out there is look beyond just what's clearly on that plate and think about things that can really empower you and really transform your life going forward in the future.
Thank you so much. And we know the Bible tells us that we have to transform the spirit of our mind and think differently about food. We've been eating a certain way all of our life. And Donna, what did you want to show us regarding how we can make some healthier changes with our dinner plate?
When I made this change, I was like, Lord, what am I gonna do for my macaroni and cheese? I did not want to part with it. And there are so many recipes out there that are available now where you can use nuts to make the cheese sauce. There's one where they use carrots and potatoes and stuff. And when I would show up to my people with that recipe, they would leave it on the table. So my mom and I got in the kitchen and we decided we were going to put together a mac and cheese that was more like what we are used to. And you start out with macaroni. If you want to be especially healthy, you could use a whole grain macaroni. But usually when I'm introducing this to people who have never eaten this way, I'll use traditional pasta. Then you want to add some margarine to it. There are a couple of brands that I like to use, Country Crock and Earth Balance, which are totally plant-based. And for years, we were told to eat margarine instead of butter because it was good for us. Then we discovered that the fats in it were hydrogenated, which increases our risk for disease. And so these plant-based margarines are non-hydrogenated, and they're options that you can use in place of it. Some of us like to put sour cream in our mac and cheese. And so I like to add a plant-based sour cream. So Foodie is one brand, Daya is another brand, find one that you like. And if what I'm showing you today isn't how you do it, pull out Big Mama's recipe and then make the substitutions based on what I'm talking. The next thing that I want to put in there is cheese, because that's what macaroni and cheese is all about. And I have here a combination of mozzarella, cheddar, and smoked Gouda. That seems to be the best flavor that my family thoroughly enjoys. And you can find all of those cheeses now that are made totally from plants. And I've been eating this way. I was always vegetarian, but I became totally plant-based 25 years ago. And 25 years ago, you couldn't find good plant-based cheeses. But now you have plenty of plant-based cheeses that you can use. I'm gonna set this right here so that I can show you. I love to use Follow Your Heart brand as my main cheese, which is the mozzarella and the cheddar. And then Follow Your Heart also makes a sliced smoked Gouda. You can find these in most of your grocery stores. You don't have to go to the health food store to find it. Then Dr. Natalie held up BioLife brand. This is another one that my husband swears by. And you can literally buy the blocks of the cheese and serve it with grapes and crackers like you would traditional cheeses. They also make some really good sliced cheddar cheeses, provolone, and I think they do Swiss. Then there's another brand called Daya, and I like the Daya because it's really pulley, and that's something when you dig into macaroni and cheese and pull it up, you want to see that cheese pulling. That's another brand that's at most grocery stores. I have also been able to find a bunch of stuff at Aldi's, and Aldi's makes a vegan cheddar cheese and a mozzarella cheese that are absolutely delicious. And recently we had a Trader Joe's open here, and I found this Parmesan cheese that is to die for. Anything that you are used to eating Parmesan on, this is the brand that you want to use, and it's just absolutely delicious. So those are some options for you. Okay. So now I've got this cheese in here, and I put it back on the stove so it could start melting. And that's the beauty of using this plant-based cheese. It's so much better than it used to be. Then you want to start seasoning it. What did your mama teach you how to make when you did yours? For Black people, we always gonna put some garlic powder in everything. And I was happy to see Dr. Natalie hold that up. So I'm gonna add some onion powder. And part of the reason that I like to use onion powder and garlic powder beyond just the seasoning is the fact that there's a category of phytochemicals in there that fight everything. As a matter of fact, garlic was used prior to the invention of penicillin to help to keep people healthy. And so garlic, when you talk about the greens that Dr. Batiste mentioned, making sure that they're full of garlic and onions and all that good stuff. This is probably the only recipe that I would add salt in. I don't usually cook with salt, but I add it to this because I don't boil it in any salt. And to get the cheesy flavor that you are used to, you need to add some salt because dairy products are extremely high in sodium. And you're going to miss that flavor, but you can control how much or how little you want to put in. Okay, so we're stirring this up. The other thing with cheese is it's actually molded. They call it aging, but it sits and it molds. And the longer it molds, the stronger the flavor is. And so what I like to do is to add a little lemon juice to mine to give you that little twang in the back of your neck that you like. And I probably would put maybe half a tablespoon of lemon in there. And if your mama used to make her mac and cheese with eggs, this is when you can add this kind of egg replacer to it, if indeed that's what you want. Okay, we're stirring this around now. And then you have to start adding your milk to it. Carnation, some people use. Some people just use regular whole milk. I like to use a variety of milks. My husband and I literally, he started to use oat milk recently. That's really good. And if you like making a roux, you can make a roux, but I don't. I'm just going to add some flour to this to help thicken it as it cooks. The other thing that I want to add is some nutritional yeast, which also gives a nice cheesy flavor. And we're going to stir this up and see what we got here. I used to teach a class at a local HBCU, and my students began to really enjoy this. And even today, I stopped teaching there probably, I guess, 8 years ago now. And I still get messages from students, have you tasted Miss Goodman's mac and cheese? It's the closest thing you could ever get. And when you think about Jesus in the Bible, the first miracle that he did was when his mama told him to make that wine for the wedding party. And when they tasted it, they wanted to know, how did you save the best till last? If you decide to do what Dr. Natalie is talking about and your other spiritual leaders, as you're listening to the voice of God, it don't need to be nasty, y'all. It needs to taste good. If you're going to eat healthy, it needs to taste good. Okay, let's see what I need to add here. I need some salt. And add a little more of this. Are there questions, Dr. Natalie, as I'm mixing this up?
No,
This is Reverend Linda.
I was going to say that because we might have too many people asking a lot of different questions, everybody. So what we're going to, yeah. So what we're going to do though is I will look at, if you have a question, please put it in the chat because we don't want everybody unmuting. We got like 152 people on here, and we won't be able to take all the questions to move forward. So please put it in the chat, and I will take a look real quick to see what questions. One of the things I can
There are several
say,
of them in there, Reverend Natalie.
yeah, I see that. Thank you.
Okay.
One of the things that, can you put in the chat the name? Okay, the name of the type of cheeses. Okay, we'll do that when Donna's finished. I'll have her type up the type of cheeses that she put in her mac and cheese. I can also say too that we are going to we will show you the link before the panel starts a little bit later, when all of our panelists will be talking to you. We will put in we have put in the website for Donna where you can find all of the recipes. So don't worry, you're gonna get the recipes that she's making.
And the recipes that she's talking about pretty much give you all the measurements, but y'all know in our culture, it's kind of hard to follow the recipes because somebody always gonna bring somebody else beyond what they said they were gonna bring, and you need to have enough food for all those people. So you can kind of use that as a basis and then play with it how you like it. If you want this to be looser, you can add more milk to it or water to it. If you want it to be tighter, you can add less liquid to it. And it's just amazing. And then when it comes out of the oven, it's just so good, y'all. The first time that I made this, literally, my mother and I and my girlfriend, we were screaming in the kitchen because we have been waiting for this. And then my mom passed away. And you know, our church was so kind to do the repast for us. And we get back from the cemetery, and then Negroes at my house want to know where was the mac and cheese. They didn't have that at the repasting. We appreciate what they serve, but they didn't give us no mac and cheese. Could you please make us some mac and cheese? So I had to go in the kitchen right after I put my mom in the ground and make macaroni and cheese for the Black people. And it was really good. The other thing, and I'm sure that Dr. Batiste will back this up, the beauty of getting rid of the saturated fat and cholesterol is that you're going to rid your system of the things that increase risk. We're almost there. And as you add the non-dairy cheese, the non-dairy milk, they are full of health promoting properties. So you stop putting in what's bad, which is going to reduce your risk. And then you start to add other things that are good, which is going to also reduce your risk and start to heal your body. And that's just so amazing and a blessing to me.
Yes, because we want to keep in mind that foods that grow from the ground, they do not have cholesterol in them. So that's important when you're making these substitutions, you know, of the non-dairy milks and the non-dairy cheeses, you're not going to get the cholesterol that you're going to find in animal products. And someone asked a question about gluten-free. Certainly, if you want to use gluten-free products, that's certainly an option for you. You can use a gluten-free pasta within this mac and cheese, or if you're making a spaghetti, that's your option. Everybody doesn't need to use gluten-free products. Some people are finding that it is beneficial for their digestive system, but certainly, you know, if you want to do that, you can. And again, we're going to give you those list of cheeses. Donna used a Gouda, she used a mozzarella, and she used a cheddar. So I'll repeat that one for you that I remember. Someone's asking for a good substitute for bacon. And they also asked for a substitute for eggs. So Donna showed you just eggs. So that is one. You could also, tofu is also a substitute for eggs. Tofu in there works for you. When we talk a little bit about the dessert, my grandmother used to always put eggs in her sweet potato pie. And now getting my recipe from my friend Donna here, I don't put eggs in my sweet potato pie anymore. We put flour, actually thickens it up. So it depends on what you are making. And then there are a lot of other egg replacements out there. We just want to think of, depending on what the purpose of the egg is, it depends on what replacement you're going to use.
Two of the other ones that I have here for you to see are the dry egg replacer called Energy. And I use this for baking sometimes. And then very recently, in addition to that meat that Dr. Natalie made with the garbanzo beans, you can use the juice of the garbanzo beans. 3 tablespoons of garbanzo bean juice is equal to 1 egg. And when I make my Hawaiian rolls, that's what I use in them. And they're absolutely delicious. And you can make an amazing meringue out of this by putting it in your KitchenAid with some sugar and some cream of tartar and vanilla. Okay, mac and cheese in the pan. And I've made this one a little drier than I usually do. My husband and son really like the thin, light one, but I like it when it gets that little crunch on the bottom and around the side. Everybody be fighting over.
So I see some questions about, someone said that they like boiled eggs. I have to say this, that there are a lot of other products coming out. The plant-based world is exploding. I would say first that we want to encourage you to eat whole plant-based foods, see what you can make from scratch. Some things we might have to decide to give up as much as we love them. You know, we love them because it's what you've been eating all the time. And since I'm talking to a faith-based community, and I can put my preacher's hat on just for a minute, all the clergy come get with me. You know, there are some things that we used to do. You know that song? You know, what I used to do, I don't do no more. You know, the friends I used to hang with, I don't hang with no more. The places I used to go, you know that song? I don't go there no more. So there's some foods that you may have to give up, try a new way of eating your salad. But again, for the question about the boiled eggs, I have seen online that they come up with an egg that looks like a boiled egg. So you might find that. I've also seen that someone has taken mushrooms, and I'm not saying it's going to taste just like your egg, but a regular white mushroom, and then they take that and they put it in a jar as you're pickling the mushroom. And then after you take the mushroom that you pickled, you place that inside, you take your chickpeas, and you can make with the chickpeas, after blending it up and adding in flavor, you can make it so that it looks like a boiled egg. So there's a lot of different things that you can learn how to do to replace that. And we're going to talk about a course called Culinary RX with the International Health Commission we partner with, and they teach you how to make a lot of the foods that you might want to substitute for. Oh, look at that mac and cheese.
Okay, so here's the mac and cheese, and we're gonna cover this with foil and put it in the oven and bake it. And I don't know if we'll be here long enough for you to see the finished product, but I can send Dr. Natalie a picture of one that has been done. It's so good, y'all, and it's guilt-free. And then the other thing, as she is talking to you about making these changes in your life, as people of faith, you can do this. The Bible says that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And if indeed, you know, them boiled eggs or the chicken or the milk or the ice cream is a problem, ask God, as Dr. Natalie has already said, not to be conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And when you're walking in those promises, he sends the power and you are able to be overcomers, and you get well, and you can make a difference in the community of faith. The other thing that was on that picture, Dr. Natalie, was that chicken. Y'all saw the chicken, right? One of the concerns that I have for Black people is how much chicken we eat. And let me tell you, I came across this study at the University of California in Irvine, I believe it was, and they were looking at the incidence of prostate cancer among African Americans. And they couldn't understand why it was so high compared to white men in the same community. And they did these food journals, and they discovered the amount of chicken that Black men were eating was just off the charts. And they also discovered that there is a carcinogen that is formed when you eat chicken called PHIP that goes directly to the prostate. They also have discovered that when you heat the chicken or the fish or the turkey or the goat, if you're from the islands, and the fat is heated, it becomes a carcinogen. When that fat drops down into the coals and hits the coals, it becomes another carcinogen. And nobody wants to have grilled chicken or grilled whatever and it be soft. You want that crunch on it? That's another carcinogen. And so backing up off of that and replacing those foods with other things that you can eat is important. One of the things that I introduce to my students is this vegetarian chicken on a stick that is made from, I want to say this might be wheat gluten or soy. I can't remember which one. And so what I do is I just find old recipes that people are used to eating, and I have a marinade that I put a little oil, olive oil, and then I season it with garlic powder, onion powder, rosemary, sage, thyme, some red pepper flakes or whatever. And then I pour this over these little chicken on the stick, and they literally have a drumstick. If you live in a metro area that has a Asian restaurant that serves plant-based food, a lot of what they serve is this stuff. And if you can find a grocery store in that same community, you can buy this yourself. The Asians have been making vegetarian meat substitutes for generations. And this is one of those things that you can find that has less ingredients in it than what you find in the grocery store. If that's not your thing, then go to the grocery store. I remember I did a cooking class in Atlanta at Kroger. This husband and wife were there. She was ready to do this. He wasn't. What am I gonna eat for lunch? So Dr. Natalie, I walked with them down the aisle and I found literally those tofurkey things that you showed a little while ago, which were something that could help him move over until he didn't have to eat it anymore. And if you never want to eat any of this, you don't ever have to eat it, because the Creator God has put all the nutrition that we need in every food. I was amazed to find that sweet potatoes and broccoli and white potatoes and beans have as much, probably 8 to 10 times the amount of protein that our body needs every day. And in our community, we eat all that stuff together: collard greens, black-eyed peas, rice, cornbread, a salad, some mac and cheese. All of that together is also providing all the protein that we need. It is not a food group, it is a nutrient. When Dr. Natalie talked about using tofu, if you want your tofu to taste meaty, take the water packed tofu, put it in the freezer and freeze it, and then thaw it out, and it will change the texture so that it's meatier in texture. You can also, again here, make patties and croquettes using beans and rice. I used to do a pinto bean one when I lived in Georgia for the extension service. You can make it out of tofu. You could do zucchini patties. And when you talk about the sweet potato pie, Dr. Natalie, I found this woman from Ohio that Barack Obama went to see when he was running for president. She was probably in her 80s or 90s at the time. And her sweet potato pie was so popular that he had to taste it. Turns out it was all plant-based. She didn't use eggs or anything. And she said, this old Black woman said, that her pies were better and lasted longer when you didn't put the eggs in them. And so if we think back culturally, until Dr. King and those other people fought for us to have access, a lot of times we didn't have access to all this other stuff that's making us sick. And we use the simpler things that we had. And that's what we're recommending and hoping that you can do this, because it's going to change your lives. It's literally going to change your lives.
Right, and with you mentioned that, so because we're going to get close to the panel now. So Dr. Baptiste, can we have desserts? What do you think about desserts?
I love desserts. You know, I'm a recovering sugarholic. So the answer is obviously yes. I think that one of the things that I always emphasize is trying to start off with, you know, desserts of the earth that God gave us. And so your berries, rich in berries and fruits are obviously a staple that you should begin with before you have anything else. There's a lot of different nice creams out there made from fruit, frozen fruit, bananas and mango, and can really quench that taste that you have. A lot of richness from dates and figs too as well, that can go into making some of the things that we're used to and that we really desire. So you don't have to give up the flavor. You don't have to give up the taste. You don't have to give up all of the things you're used to when you start to eat food that is going to be beneficial to your health.
Absolutely, and I agree. And many of the other questions, what we want you to do, make sure you read food labels. Some were asking about a product, a chemical product that's in the just eggs, and you know there are different chemicals that are put in products to preserve them. Here's the thing, read the labels. That's what's also important about what we're doing tonight. We want you to read the labels, and then you can make an informed decision whether that's not a product you want to use or not. So just eggs may not be something that you want to use. So we've told you other things that you can put in place. Again, the tofu, the liquid from the garbanzo beans. And there's so much about food that we don't know about. And that's what we hope you walk away with. Again, I wanted to make sure, and I want to repeat this again, we showed you earlier a healthy eating plate from Harvard Medical School. Why? Because that plate, a healthy plate, is mostly plant powered. We all know how to eat the chicken, the turkey, the pork. You can fry it and bake it and flip it over and broil it. You can do everything, but we don't know how to eat more of the foods that grow from the ground. And so the end of this, everyone, we're not encouraging you because we don't want you to misunderstand. We're not saying that you have to become vegan or vegetarian at the end of this program. What we're saying from these experts and this cardiologist, Dr. Columbus, is that you need to increase the amount of plant-powered foods that you eat. The star of your plate needs to be plant-powered food. So why? So that you can fight heart disease, you can fight stroke, you can fight obesity, you can fight cancers, you can fight arthritis. There also research has shown that if we change how we eat, it can also be affected and slowing down premature aging. And we look at dementia and Alzheimer's. I mean, we could just go on and we're still in COVID-19. So we need to be eating healthier even while we're trying to fight and prevent COVID-19. And so this is what we want you to get from this, as well as, reading those food labels and knowing what's in your food. That's what makes a difference in your life. And so when you're considering that an answer, we might not have all the substitutes because we only have so much time, but certainly you're going to have the website for all these experts, and you're going to be able to go there and see how you can begin to make these meals for yourself. And trust me, if you take the challenge, we offered a challenge at the beginning. We offered a 10-day, 21-day challenge that you would become, like you see in the book of Daniel, eat mostly plant-based foods and see how you feel better. And some of you might decide to become plant-based. So really quickly, Donna, we got to get to the panel. You want to talk about your pound cake, and I'll show, when you see half of a pie eaten like this, you know that somebody enjoyed it. So this is a sweet potato pie. And I tell you, I told you I've been looking for a way to make a sweet potato pie without the eggs and without the milk. And so my friend Donna, I found her recipe and you'll see it. And so it's thick, so the flour thickened it up. I roasted the sweet potatoes as she suggested. And then the milk that I chose to use inside of mine, got this right from Aldi's. My grandmother loved my granny. She was 104 when she died. She always would put the condensed carnation milk in there, but I used the soy milk, because there are beneficials to soy for women. I realize that some people, your doctor may recommend you don't have soy, but soy is beneficial to people. So as you see, I'm showing you, I baked it and the family loved it. So you see, so Donna, go ahead. And then like I said, we gotta move to the
love to make is the pound cake. And what I did was to take a traditional pound cake, cut the fat in half, cut the sugar by a third, take all the eggs out, and it ends up being this beautiful. So in here we have flour and sugar and baking powder and salt. In here we have non-dairy milk, a little oil, my flavorings, and we're going to use silken tofu. Those of you who had your face twisted, the silken tofu is going to replace the egg. So that's another thing that you can use tofu for, is to replace egg. And we're gonna blend this up right quick and mix it, and that's as simple as it is, as hard as it gets. Real easy peasy, 1, 2, 3.
So someone is asking where you can buy the chicken on the stick. Donna shared she got it from the Asian food, an Asian food store. So you want to look in your community to see if you can find an Asian food store for the chicken on the stick. I wouldn't be surprised, if some of the other stores are starting to bring it in. Maybe check a Trader Joe's or a Wegmans, depending on where you live. But again, the chicken on the stick came from an Asian store. Question, do you use white flour? So can you use almond or coconut flour?
I am using King Arthur's unbleached flour because, again, I'm making this for people who've never seen it. When I used to teach the class, I had students who used whole wheat flour, and I would have them sifted so that it would be lighter in the end, but you can use whatever flour you like. And I think that's one of the other things that Dr. Natalie and Dr. Columbus and I like to do, is to experiment. What we're saying to you, you can use as a framework to get you started, and then put in the things that you like. When you're making this recipe, you're literally making it like you're making cornbread. Do not put a mixer on this. Don't put this in your KitchenAid because you will mess it up. All you have to do is blend the liquid, pour it into the dry, stir it up, and I'm getting ready to add some lemon juice to this, and that will be the cake. If you have children or grandchildren, you can add a little bit more water to this. And when you add a little bit more milk to it, I'm sorry, it thins it out and you can make cupcakes for them. For kids who have allergies, that's a really good thing. I'm adding lemon juice here, which is going to smooth this out. And then we're gonna pour it in the cake pan and put it in the oven. That's all we're doing with this. This is as hard as it gets, y'all. And it tastes delicious, and you can see the one that's already made here on the counter. The one that's on the counter, I made already, and I made a lemon flavor. And Dr. Natalie and Dr. Columbus, I put turmeric in it to give it a yellow color. Because y'all know you like yellow pound cake. And turmeric is one of those really good things to eat. Okay, here we
So
go.
Donna, have you tried this with oat flour? I think someone who might be gluten-free.
I have never tried it with oat flour, but try it. Try it. If that's what your family eats, try it. Use the milk that your family likes to do. And if you decide, you know what, I'm just not convinced of that tofu. I don't care what she said. Go online and Google or go on Pinterest and look up vegan pound cakes. There are so many recipes out there now, some of which don't use any of the tofu at all. They just use baking powder in it. And that's another way to do it without a problem. Okay, so that's that. It makes a beautiful pound cake. It'll probably make about 24 to 36 cupcakes, depending on the size that you make the cupcakes. And we'll put this in the oven in a minute. And what we have here is a finished pound cake. You can take your own sugar. I use the natural sugar here. Florida Crystals is one brand, but there's several on the market. Find the one that you like. And you can put that in the blender with some cornstarch and blend it up. And you will have your own confectioner's sugar, which is what I have here. And I'm going to add a little lemon juice to this confectioner's sugar. And I'm going to stir it up. And this is going to be my glaze over the pound cake.
So while Donna is doing that, I've started to share the screen again so we can move forward. I show you that for my Thanksgiving in 2021, I actually made the pound cake, as you all see there, and the sweet potato pie, and the family definitely did love it. So, and you're going to get the recipes, everybody. As you see there, there's a link there, lifestyletherapeutic.com. You will see that again as we go to the panel so that you'll be able to get the recipes. You can still watch Donna on the side there as I introduce to you everyone who will now join us on our panel discussion. And so again, I want to repeat to you again, because I don't want you to lose this. As a registered dietitian, you know, I know that the profession is continuing to grow. What I mean by that, I encourage you to be lifelong learners, and that you're willing to make the changes so that your body can fight disease. Trust me, I know that there are foods that you love. Somebody asked for a replacement for bacon. We can go back to that. I don't know what exact replacement, but I do know you can make something called coconut bacon. I've made that before. It gives you the flavor of a bacon. Some people I've seen make bacon out of carrots. So there's a lot of different recipes that you can do to get that flavor. But I tell you this, when you change how you eat, some of the stuff you think you love so much, guess what? You'll find out that you just don't have the taste for them. So with me introducing our panel discussion here on fighting and preventing disease with healthy food choices and reading nutrition labels, I'll be the moderator where I'll be asking them questions. As you're taking a look at the screen right now, you might want to grab your camera, and I encourage everybody to stand up. We've been sitting for a while. Stand up, stretch, move around. Grab your camera and take a picture, because here you'll see the websites for each one of our panelists as we move forward. So we're going to have Dr. Columbus Baptiste. He's already been on with us, and his website is www.thehealthyheart.org plus www.slavefood.org. He's going to talk a little bit about that, what that slave food means, and Donna sort of alluded to it earlier. Then Donna Green Goodman, she's still with us at www.lifestyletherapeutic.com. Then we have Minister James Tate there, his website, beyondw8loss.com. Again, get your cameras, take a picture so you can find everybody later. Then we have our young adult that I'm so excited about. She's doing great work with us in our Ohio Cleveland project. She hit the ground for us in doing a survey. She's from the 3rd Episcopal District of the AME Church. She serves as the YPT recording secretary. And if you want to check out the work of the YPD and the AME Church, that's www.ameypd.org. Episcopal districts. And then we have James Wilson, who is a member of the Word Church, where he serves there and a lot of different capacities, but also as a tech person. He's our tech person today. And I gave you his website, which now my screen is covering it up. I can't read it very well, but chessllc.com. And so we're excited. So as we are transitioning to the panel, and I will stop sharing my screen in a minute, we want to encourage you to visit the website for the International Health Commission. We're not done, just want to show this to you before we go to the panel. The website for the International Health Commission is www.amechhealth.org. And again, as I shared with you earlier, we do offer an online plant-forward cooking nutrition course in partnership with Ruby. Ruby is the world's largest culinary cooking and nutrition school. What's unique about AME Culinary RX is that I have worked with Ruby and Dr. Stoll, a friend of many of us, to put scriptures into AME Culinary RX, and you have lifetime access to this. So this is where you can learn all the different ways that you never knew that you could use foods that go from the ground, and we can expand our knowledge to become lifelong learners. So we hope that you will, of course, check those out. So again, now, as our panel is here and joining us, there's some questions that I'm going to be asking them as we move forward. Donna, you want to bring your cake up to the screen? Everybody can see you put the icing on it while I ask the first question here. So as we are considering being healthier, looks delicious, being healthier in 2022 and fighting disease, Dr. Baptiste, can you tell us how food ingredients and advertisement in the community for fast food is used as a weapon against our health and our wellness?
Yeah, no, that's a powerful statement. I mean, one of the things that we've observed, and so a lot of public health officials have observed this, is the fact that many communities of color are comprised of food deserts. Now, what are food deserts? Food deserts are areas where we live, where we don't have readily access to fruits and vegetables and whole grains. This is in addition to living in food swamps, which is an overabundance of ultra-processed, quick-serve foods that are, for the most part, detrimental to our body, as we've really outlined throughout today's course here. So when I look at the advertisement is pervasive. And so studies have shown that for Black and Brown individuals, the advertisement is magnitudes higher targeted towards adolescents, kids, and adults inside of African American and Latino communities. Now, what does this mean? It means that we adopt this immediate brand recognition as our neighborhood that seem to flood our attention are also there too as well. And this lends to our we look at salt, sugar, and fat. This is how it's weaponized. It's a wonderful book, Salt, Sugar, and Fat by Michael Moss. He outlined how the food companies, Big Food, really has gone through astronomical lengths to really make sure that we can develop foods that will keep us coming back for more and more and more. That it's not just once we bite, we can't stop. Once we have one taste of something, we have to come back for more and more and more. I tell the story a lot of times that when I began my journey towards eating healthfully and eating more plant-rich foods and eating 100% plant-rich foods, I was at a grocery store and I was hungry just like everyone else. And I chose the wrong grocery line like many of us do on occasions. And as I'm sitting there and I'm putting all of my stuff on the conveyor belt, at the last minute, something called out to me. Right on the side there was a candy bar, my favorite candy bar. And I put it on the last minute, and that checkout clerk said, "Man, I thought you're the healthiest guy I'd ever seen," until I realized you're just like me. And in that moment, I realized I was addicted. I was sort of enslaved to this food that was there, that despite my efforts not to ingest foods that I knew would be harmful to me, foods I knew could lead to my detriment, I was still gravitating towards them because these foods, rich in salt, sugar, and fat, have been shown distinctly to keep us coming back for more and more, that keep us coming back, that irrespective of our true status of nutritional need, we want to ingest more and more. Our body's signals are turned off and we continually come back for them. So it is a problem. It is a drug inside of our neighborhoods, and it's a problem that lends itself towards the health disparities. And we can talk about that more in terms that we outlined in this project called the Slavery Project.
Thank you so much. And there's one thing I did forget to do. We need to put up 3 polls. There's going to be 3 polls. We're going to ask you to answer the questions to. James, are we able to do that? Okay, we're going to do 3 polls. So we're asking you, and while we're doing that, I asked all the panelists, I want you to look through the chat and I want you to pick 3 names. Everybody pick 3 names, because before you speak, I want you to call out a name because we have to pick some winners. So please, we have a poll. So if you all would read the poll, and if you would answer that for us, we'd appreciate. This will allow us to evaluate the presentation. Go ahead, James.
So the first poll is, do real food labels at the grocery store, do you read food labels at the grocery store? So right now, we are tallying up the actual votes right now. And Dr. Mitchell, let me know when you want to actually stop the poll. We'll give you the results.
So question number 1, do you read food labels at the grocery store? And the panelists, you're going through the chat and you're finding some names. Find 3 names and write them down for me, in case we call the same ones. We want to find some winners. We thank you all for your participation. Thank you so much. We're going to end the poll. We're going to end the poll in 2 minutes, 2 seconds, just say 2 seconds.
Yep, so end it off. So at 80%, we're going to share the results for everybody. Can everybody see the results?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much. That's good for us to know. So we do know that reading labels is important. The next one, please, James.
Okay, so the next one we have, I'm gonna launch it. Do you have attention, or do you pay attention to salt, sugar, and fat levels in food at restaurants?
Thank you so much for answering this poll. It's very important to the work that we're doing tonight and also in Cleveland, Ohio. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to end the poll there.
Okay, we're going to share the results, everyone. It's pretty good results. Yeah.
All right. The third question, please, James.
Okay. Here we are. So we'll launch it. Nutrition and nutrients in foods impact your food choices. Wow.
Thank you very much for your participation. We're going to end it in 2 seconds. Please put your answer in.
Okay. I'm going to go and share our results. So that's great.
That's great. Thank you so much, James. Okay. My next question goes to Donna. And Donna, before you answer, can you call out some names for us? We're going to get some winners.
Okay, Linda Carmen Bryant.
Linda Carmen Bryant,
Ivanka Hall.
Ivanka Hall,
Reverend Renata Williams.
Okay, I need the panelists to keep your names because you're going to give these names to me later. Okay, so those are our first 3 winners. Now for the rest of the panelists, if you pick those names, cross them off and look for 3 others. Okay, so Donna, this question goes to you now. Share with us your personal success journey of making healthy food choices to fight breast cancer.
25 years ago, I was diagnosed with invasive aggressive metastatic breast cancer and given 2 to 5 years to live. They took 17 lymph nodes from under my arm and there was cancer in 6 of them. They said because I was African American, that the odds of me surviving this were going to be very, very low. And they recommended that I do chemotherapy, a stem cell transplant, more chemotherapy, radiation, and tamoxifen. Because of my training in health education, my work at Morehouse School of Medicine and the Office of Nutrition, I was stunned. But I also knew the value of healthy lifestyle choices as it related to all diseases. And so I went back in the closet and talked to God and asked him what to do. And he said, if there's sick among you, go to the elders of the church. I was anointed. And then I found a medical care provider who believed in the value of lifestyle choices, and I changed my diet and lifestyle. I went totally plant-based. I changed my exercise routine. I got rid of some stress. I improved my relationship with God, and I did that for 6 months. At the end of 6 months, I got some blood work done. The doctor said that my cancer had worsened and to have a Merry Christmas. I decided that I was going to continue to walk by faith. 3 months later, I went back and I asked to see my records, and the doctor said that based on the records that I had, as I'm looking at them, everything had improved, but she did not want me to believe that I had been cured because I didn't do what she said. I was convinced and convicted that making the lifestyle changes had changed my whole physiology. And not only was the cancer gone, but the PMS was gone, and the fibrocystic breast disease, and the obesity, and the migraine headaches, and the constipation, and sex with my husband got a whole lot better, and my son's allergies went away, and things were just moving all in the right direction. And so I made a decision to share this information wherever I could, and actually partner with the Office of Minority Health for the state of Georgia to do a diabetes intervention using these same principles, including a plant-based diet, and the outcome was absolutely amazing. I celebrated 25 years this past July with an online event, and God is good.
Well, I think I got a lot of people's attention. Let's say the married folks' attention when you said sex with your husband has improved. And we're all Christians. It's all right. It's all right. I hope nobody fell off their chair in the book of Genesis. Okay, it's all right. We need to be the experts in this area. Now, somebody wants to go plant-based now, don't you? Now you want to go plant-based. All right now. Okay.
Praise the name of Jesus. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Delicia, can you give me 3 names, and then I'm going to ask you a question. Listen for your name.
Deborah Watts, Deneen Lewis, and Judy A. Williams.
Okay, so those are the winners. You want to read them one more time in case you didn't hear their name?
I have Deborah Watts, Deneen Lewis, and Judy A. Williams.
Okay, and for the winners, remember, you have to send me an email, and I'll repeat it at the end again. healcommission@aol.com. You'll send me an email by Wednesday so that I can get your information. So congratulations to you. So here's your question, Delicia. You recently completed the NIMS survey for us in Cleveland, Ohio, which is a menu disclosure nutrition labeling project. And as a young adult, do you think nutrition information and facts in restaurants and stores is important? And were you surprised about the information gathered in the nutrition environmental survey?
Yes, I feel that they are very important. I know me as a young person and many other young persons, we don't tend to go to the store and pay attention to nutrition labels. It's pretty much, okay, I like this bag of chips, or I like this type of candy. So it's like, okay, let's just get it. And what it is what it essentially is. But it, like, paying attention to the labels, it allows us to pretty much look at what we're putting into our bodies and then what our bodies is expelling out. And it's just like, just looking at them is helpful to us and to others. And completing the NIMS, I did like see a lot of different stuff that I didn't look at before, like going to the different grocery stores. I would notice that one grocery store would have like more than 2 different types of whole wheat bread. And then you go to another grocery store and maybe they don't have whole wheat bread, or comparing the prices to different grocery stores. So it did open my eyes to a lot.
Thank you so much. And for those who've already called out names, I want you to pick 3 more names. I'm coming back to you. So now, Minister James Tate, can you give me your 3 names, and then I'm going to give you your question. So who are your 3 names?
All right, so I have Shantae Lane, I have Yvonne Thrower, and I have Dr. Minister Gail Jones.
Okay, read it one more time.
Shantae Lane, Yvonne Thrower, and Dr. Minister Gail Jones.
Okay, congratulations. All right, so now, Minister Tate, tell us about your success in making healthy food choices and what food choices help to result in your long-term success.
All right. So my success in making healthy food choices did not come until I read the Bible and studied the scriptures about nutrition and wellness. See, for myself, I was over 400 pounds in 2007. And the Lord has blessed me to lose and keep off over 200 pounds by giving him all of me, not just pieces of me. And so one of the things is, and like you quoted Hosea 4:6, where it says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. The thing is, it doesn't say that my people are destroyed for lack of information, because we have information overload, but knowledge comes from the Lord. So I had to study the scriptures about what to eat. God tells us what to eat and what not to eat. But see, we treat the Bible like trail mix. We take our favorite little scriptures and we try to throw the rest away. So God tells us what to eat, because everyone knows the story of Adam and Eve. The first thing was committed from people not being disciplined over what they eat. And that's the oldest trick in the book. The enemy wants to trick us to eat the wrong things. And so once we start to study and see what God said, because he did tell us what to say, what to eat and what not to eat. And the thing is that we have to realize what we're in possession of. And that's what I had to do. I had to realize my worth, because the human body is a multi-million-dollar machine. And if you drove $1 million car, what type of fuel would you put in it? You know, you can't expect to look and feel like $1 million if you always eating from the dollar menu. So you got to make sure that you fill your body with high octane foods, because if you continue to put low grade fuel in a high performance vehicle, it's not going to perform the way it was designed to perform. And our bodies are breaking down because of the fuel that we are putting in it. So you want to make sure that you eat mostly Genesis 1:29 foods. That's the first dietary law that God gave. And those are the healing foods. Whenever you need to heal, reset, detox, or cleanse the body, it always goes back to the foods of that scripture. So once I realized that and I applied that to my life, and God made everything happen for me. And that's how I become successful with choosing the right foods to eat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So now we're going to, I like what you said, multi-million-dollar bodies. We are multi-million-dollar. So you're looking for it in your bank account, but you need to look at your body and say, I'm a multi-million-dollar body and I got to fuel it right. That is so powerful. So James, well, who are your three people before we ask your question? Call out your three people who won. You're muted.
So my three people are T. Angela Brewster, Pamela Ware, and Pastor Margaret Bailey.
Okay, read them one more time.
P. Angela Brewster, Pamela Ware, Pastor Margaret Bailey.
All right, so congratulations. Again, everybody who has won, you're going to send me an email to healcommission@aol.com. We'll talk about that again at the end and tell you what you have won, but congratulations on your winning. Looks like we lost Jalecia for a minute. Hopefully she'll be able to come back, because I do like what she said when she talked about when she went into the different stores, how she saw the differences. So that is important. And we need to know that stores, when you walk in, the first thing you see, they're designed, there are points there for you to purchase points, and they want to move those items. So they're put there for a reason. And you know that the items that they think we really need are all the way at the other end of the store, because they want you to walk past all the other stuff and tempt you. So James, tell us why you think healthy food choices are important, and what are some of your favorite healthy dishes?
Well, might as well say this. So I'm going to actually, since I'm a technologist, I'm going to go ahead and actually steal this right here. So one of the things that I did, my daughter is actually vegan and gluten-free. So this right here is my vegan carrot cake, which is pretty awesome. And I love to go and cook vegan and gluten-free for my daughter. Actually, I've made a commitment to help her out. I still actually do, some fish and everything else, but I really like doing that. But also what I did for this, I'm going to go back over to this right here. What I did is I'm going to start introducing this in part of our Matthew 25 Alive, when you talk about where I was hungry, he gave me something to eat. When I was thirsty, he gave me something to drink. One of the things I started to do, I'm starting to develop a STEAM program for our youth with this, try to educate this. So I actually built this in my house, which is an aquaponics setup. So I'm actually doing the same thing. I had to go ahead and put together within my house so I can actually introduce over to the actual youth ministry, the actual we call outsiders, so they can go and understand some of the basic biblical principles of sowing the seeds, but then they can see how things put together. We talk about, I grew up in a suburb here in Cleveland, Ohio, called Shaker Heights, and my parents are both from down south. My mother was from Columbus, Georgia. My stepfather was from Alabama, and matter of fact, my stepfather, as a part, the family actually owns the slave plantation that we had. It was willed over to his family, which is our family, And I, as a kid, we always had a garden in our house, and so we always grew our own foods. And I was talking to one of my other past friends that I work with, and he said he was doing some, putting in the urban garden. So I like to go and actually introduce how to grow foods because of biblical principles, but how to grow my own foods, as we grew up. And the thing about it is that we really need to start to look at our urban planning. Back in the day, if you really didn't know this, they actually used to plant inside of your neighborhoods fruit trees, and everything else. That's why you had fruit trees. So you would literally go outside, as I did, go outside and actually get fruit from your house. You don't have to go to these grocery stores and get expensive and everything else. You don't have to keep, people are always saying it costs so much to go and actually maintain this stuff. You can grow your own food. You can really grow your own food. So we need to get back into the biblical principles of growing, reaping and sowing and actually growing your own foods. So we have these ingredients available because they're right there. So I personally like to do that. We have a restaurant. Me and my daughter, we always go to it's called the Cleveland Vegan Club. And I'm starting to see more and more of our people inside the Cleveland Vegan and all these different vegan restaurants. Donna, I'm coming over your house, so expect me to be there.
Come on.
I'm coming.
Come on.
It's done. It's done.
All
So
right.
I'm going to be there. But I love what you were doing with the actual foods you're putting there. And I grew up cooking. My mom, I was only child until I was 10 years old. And my mom was hard. She was Southern. So I started cooking at like 5 years old, for the family. When I came home, I had to go and put the food together. So my parents came home, and I would just basically learn how to cook. My mom always taught me. So I believe that we as people, we need to go and get our youth together, get them involved and engaged, do things like aquaponics, do things like urban gardens and everything else at your churches and your faith-based institutions so we can learn how to make our own foods and then grow. So that's my take.
Thank you so much for that. And the point that you make, the more research proves that the more we cook at home, even though a lot of us are part of this microwave generation and eating out for fast food, but the more that we cook at home, actually it's proven that we eat healthier meals when we cook more at home. Why? Because you pay attention to the ingredients. And if I can go back for a second, when Minister Tate said, do we really want to get stuck on the dollar menu just because it's cheaper? That's not the good way to go. And healthy food does not have to be expensive. There are a lot of places that you can find healthier foods. Buy them in season, of course, and you can shop at different stores that are offering a variety of different foods for you. So we want to get back to cooking more foods at home. And again, we're encouraging you to make sure that your meals that you choose, as we said the title in 2022, are more plant-powered, more plant-based, and less of that meat, that's of animal products, I should say. So now, Dr. Columbus, do you have 3 names? Were you able to look in the chat for 3 names for 3 winners? You can call them out. And I love what you said earlier before I asked your question. You talked about the fact of us being addicted to food and enslaved to food. And that's something that we really need to wrap our head around, everybody. Being addicted, the flavors in those foods were designed to keep you coming back. That's why you want more and more of it. If I were to name some foods, if you think of some foods in your head, you can almost taste them in your mouth. That's how powerful our senses are that God created our body. So Dr. Columbus, do you have 3 names for us?
Sure. Michelle Wembley, Leon Ogilvy, and Zelma Butler.
Okay, can you read them one more time? Because it gives them, make sure they heard it.
Sure. Michelle Wembley, Leon Ogilvy, and Zelma Butler.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. We'll explain again what you have won. And James, can you look for Jaleesa? She fell off for a second, but she did join back in if you could find her. So Dr. Baptiste, as a cardiologist, do our food choices really impact our heart health, our immunity, and our overall health?
I think, that's a great question. And I think the honest truth is 2020 really showed us this. So I always say all roads lead to the heart. So our vessels are the markers of our health. And there's a lining of our vessels that's called the endothelium. And that endothelium, for those of you chefs and cooks out there, is like a nonstick skillet, right? So when you're beautifully and wonderfully made out of birth, those vessels, nothing will stick to it. They repel everything. They say no, they excrete something called nitric oxide. And so when that becomes damaged, then we know that the beginnings of disease happens that leads to coronary disease and really all the vascular ailments, from atherosclerosis to erectile dysfunction down to everything and more some. But here's the issue, is that the foods that we eat can impair this. The foods that we eat can actually impact our endothelium. It can impact our cells, and it can lead to detrimental effects that can result in high blood pressure, heart disease, heart failure on a repeated basis. And that's really truly, so our choice, the first step towards health is really that first bite. It begins with just your choice for having that one bite. The minister Tate mentioned really this decision. It's a choice that he made and beginning that journey and going back to the basics and seeing, well, what is truly? Yeah, there's a whole lot of things of, yeah, I see that Genesis 1:29 tells me to eat of the earth, but a little bit won't hurt. And we're always searching for that answer that allows us an avenue to eat the things that we know we shouldn't, to have a taste of this, to have a little more of that. And we have to begin the process of building generational health. We speak so often in our communities about generational wealth and about how we've been kept outside of this wealth building process that lends itself through redlining and other issues. But I want to challenge us in 2022 to build generational health. That begins with our forks. That begins with our plates. That begins with our decisions that gets passed on to our kids, to our parishioners, to our friends. And now when we have health, now we can really build that wealth. Now we can live a life of purpose. And that's where the value is.
Fantastic. I don't know about you. You need to have a pencil and a piece of paper, because our panelists, they are all dropping, as they say, the young kids say, they're dropping some nuggets for us to really hold on to. I love that generational health. Don't unmute yourself, but the preacher in me is asking you all to repeat there, lean back and say generational health. That's what you want to create. That is
Generational
so
health.
important. So important for us to do.
Great.
So now, Donna, we're back to you. Did you write 3 more names? 3 more winners?
I did. Let's see here. Deborah Watts, Monica Slaughter, Lidra Dildy.
All right, one more time.
Deborah Watts, Monica Slaughter, Lidra Dildy.
Thank you so much. Here's my question for you, Donna. If an individual is not ready to make major changes, we're talking about this plant-based powered or predominant meals, what are 3 important or easy, quick starting points or suggestions that you have for them?
Before I say those 3 things, if you decide that you're going to do what Minister James has said, go plant-based and plant a garden, make sure that you get you some mason jars so that you can preserve your food. During COVID, I went back in the kitchen and I'm still eating stuff from a 1.5 years ago that you control all the ingredients that you put in it and you knew exactly how it was grown. And this is something that our grandparents used to do. And it's a way for you to control the way that our health is, so that we have generations of health. 3 things that you could do. Eat less meat and animal products. Just aside, I'm not ready to give it up, Donna. So eat less, eat less. And if you continue to eat meat, try eating kosher meat. Kosher meat is prepared the way that God says in the Bible, where the fat and the blood are removed, which means you're taking out the things that mess up those endothelial cells and bring cholesterol to the system. So eat less. The second thing I would say is to Try new ingredients in your recipes. The things that you've seen me demonstrate tonight, make a mac and cheese and use some non-dairy cheese in it. If you're gonna make cornbread, instead of using traditional milk, use coconut milk. It is very, very moist when you make it with coconut milk. If you are not a big fan of salads, try a salad and add some vegetables in there that you're not normally used to adding to your salads. And literally, that would be a way for you to bring a lot more fiber and variety to what you're doing. And then the third thing I would say is try a new recipe every week. Every week. We talk about having a no meat Tuesday or whatever. That's a good idea. But those of us who are at the church, who have these gatherings, especially when we come back from all that COVID has done us, don't bring that same food back there. Try some new recipes that put a healthier spin on the food that you've been eating. And then my biblical challenge to you for your health is Exodus 15:26. If you hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, do what is right in his sight, keep his commandments and his statutes, he won't put any of the diseases on you that he's put on the Egyptians, for he's the Lord who heals you. Stand on that, get the power, and you will be successful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for those tips. And someone asked earlier, yes, we are recording this. And at the end, James will tell you how you can find this, find the recording later. So Minister Tate, do you have 3 names for me?
Yes, I do. I have Mary Hayes, I have Lutricia Bowden, and I have Lorena Finger.
Okay, one more time.
One more time, Mary Hayes, Lutricia Bowden, and Lorena Finger.
Fantastic. Congratulations to you. And at the end, we'll tell you what you're winning and what you need to do to make sure that you get your gift. So Minister Tate, can you tell us, is it important how it is? We know it's important to reach the youth, okay? Can you tell us about Cool Kids and the Land of the Giants to motivate, educate, and inspire youth to defeat obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, and the depression giant?
Yes, so the Lord has blessed me to be an award-winning children's book author. My first book, The Cool Kids and the Land of the Giants, it's a series about a group of Christian kids. They're superheroes, and they take on health-related giants that have invaded their land. And the adults have become very comfortable with the giants living there. Giants like obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, heart disease. But the kids know that there's something wrong, and so they want to kick the giants out of their land. And so it's loosely based on David and Goliath. And, you know, the Bible says to train up a child in the way they should go, so when they get old, they will not depart from it. And so we want to train up children in healthy eating and how to take care of their bodies and fuel their bodies properly, because we have kids. This is the first generation of children that they say will not outlive their parents due to type 2 diabetes. And so we have a big job to make sure to prove them wrong and make sure that that doesn't happen. And so it's very, very important for us to educate our children on how to take care of their bodies, the foods they eat, how to read labels, just like we're doing on this panel here. Because one of the things with parents, what I want to challenge you on, and guardians, is that please don't treat other things better than you treat your children. We give water to plants and we expect plants to grow healthy and strong, but we give kids soda and juice and expect them to grow healthy and strong. They need water as well. So we want to make sure that we educate the children, and we want to make sure that we take care of them and fuel them properly as well. And that's just the seed that I plant with this book, The Cool Kids.
Fantastic. And we will share again the websites. We'll have each panelist at the end share their websites again, so that, of course, you can get the book and get more information. But that's powerful. And we do need to begin with the youth. We think that that's so important because, again, the reason why some of adults now, you don't like peas and you don't like broccoli and you don't like lima beans and you don't like, a lot of different, because you didn't grow up on them. But trust me, you're not too old you're not too old to learn a new way to eat. We need to be lifelong learners. And here's the thing, when you change how you eat, we've seen this in research. I've seen this with people I work with. It can take those 10 to 21 days for you to see your lab work improve, so that your doctor says to you, what are you doing? Your doctor asks you, what are you doing and what changes have you made? And then you can partner with your doctor. If you're taking medication, none of us want you to just get off your medication. But what we want you to do is understand as you make those changes, your doctor might say to you, there's a certain medication you don't need any longer as you partner with your doctor. So moving along, James, do you have your next here? Do you have 3 more names for me?
Yes, it's getting harder and harder. It's almost like I'm playing, what's that kids game when you're trying to elimination? So I have Julia Brown, then I have Julia, then I have Karen Brown.
Okay, read them one more time so they hear you. One more time.
Julia Brown, Julia, and Karen Brown.
Okay, so here's my question I have for you, James, and congratulations to the 3 of you. Can you share with us ways that the Word Church in Ohio promotes healthy food choice and wellness?
Yeah, so the Word Church is basically kind of like a forerunner on a lot of different things. We've got our Matthew 25, a live ministry that we're really pushing forward to feeding a lot of people, even in the homeless community, because a lot of people don't realize that. And I've really flow with this a little bit, but we're talking about the people who have means, right? We've totally forget about people who don't have means and what they need to have. So we need to actually make sure we reach out to those individuals that don't have the resources. I work with the outreach group called Matthew 25 Alive, and we try to push forward on there. We're going to be introducing food labeling material so they can learn how to actually read food labels. We've got the documentation, everything else that CDC approved. So really trying to push that and really getting things out. We just recently did a campaign. We fed about 5,000 people, in one weekend. Try to get access to people with food and healthy and beans and rice and everything else, so they can go and get resources. But when you start talking about the need, we soon forget about those individuals that don't have anything. Now, one thing I really talk to with Outreach Fuel, and this is where we're trying to get this lightning and education out there. So we have one of our outreach centers in like downtown Cleveland. I was sort of downtown. It's like 55th. Jaleesa, she knows that 55th location. And we have an area that's right down the street from there. And a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people know Cleveland is a urban, an urban, a growing city. Like we're one of the larger, bigger cities that has a lot of urban, urban farming. And it's right down the street. And so this is the enlightened piece and the education piece that I'm really going to start introducing to the community, where I said, we need to start getting folks, the people are coming in, they're getting hot meals and everything else, and start to bring them to a knowledge on how to grow. Now, it's a problem though, because the outreach people, now we have to listen to our outreach individuals, where this is kind of the hard piece is, how do you teach someone who has problems with food right now? They need issues about getting food, and Jaleesa will actually talk about this being a young person, and all I got to worry about is how much be fed, but then teaching them, but you can't grow the food, you have to take the time. So it's a healthy balance. So right now, like I said before, we're trying to introduce things like, the urban farming, gardening, and everything else. I'm going to try to get them reading the labels, but that's an initiative that I'm going to really help out the outreach center to really start people learning and teaching them how to grow, how to be a part of these urban farming. We have a huge environment that's trying to get people involved with urban farming and everything else. And I know it's a tough deal, but that's one of the things that we're doing there. And it's just not just the word, because we're just kind of reach out to other ministries. We're reaching out to a lot of different other ministries, and giving those resources. And that's what I plan to do, is not just deal with that. Matter of fact, CHES LLC, this stands for Consultants for Health, Energy, and Sustainability. And I'm actually an HIT, Health Information Technology person, where I've actually built personal health records. And one of the reasons why I really started getting involved, and I'm so glad we've got Dr. Columbus and James Tate, man, you are a beast, man. I'm putting over to your beast, man. But when I started looking at the health information technology and building my, my patent, health records for people, they would always say that, one of the things to stop diabetes is eating right and healthy. And it seems like every one of my variables for putting in my programs would always be like eating healthy and exercising, eating healthy and exercising. It was simple. And so I said, I need to start reaching out to more and more people to kind of enlighten them, because most of my health information technology components and variables was looking at those key elements: eating healthy, and exercising, doing the proper things, drinking water and all those kind of things. So I'm just so happy to be a part of this panel. That's what we're doing. We're trying to reach out to people. That's what my personal goal is for my company itself. We're trying to get more people of color to be involved with, like sustainability, environment, and health. But that's what we're doing down here in Cleveland.
Thank you so much. And you bring up a good point when you mention, again, everybody sort of alluded to the gardening and even the International Health Commission. We have a project now focusing on the 95 corridor, where we are looking to churches to create, many churches have land near them or land nearby. And so we are promoting churches growing community gardens so that, as you say, people can come to those community gardens and get their produce. And gardens produce so much, there's also opportunity to give them away and be a blessing to the community. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And I also say this too, with food pantries, everyone, food pantries, that's something we need to take a look at. You have a food pantry at your church. Take a look and read those food labels. How much sodium, salt, and sugar are in those food pantries? What type of food are we giving from our food pantries? And let's make an effort and be intentional about now building food pantries that have more fresh fruits and vegetables, building food pantries that, if they have canned products, that are lower in sugar, lower in salt, natural juices. We need to be more intentional about that. So my last question goes to Jalicia. Please don't leave us yet. We're almost there. We're going to get real close to 8 o'clock. We have one last poll. And if I ask the panelists, please do me a favor. Start putting your websites and any information you want to share. Start typing that in the chat so people can grab that for us. So, Jalicia, do you have 3 more names? You give us the last 3 names. What do you have?
I have Julia Rogers, Marion Johnson, and Pamela Ware.
Okay, one more time.
Julia Rogers, Marion Johnson, and Pamela Ware.
Okay, congratulations, and please stay until the end. We'll tell you how you get what you want and what you are going to win. So Jalicia, and we're so happy to end with our young adult. I tell you, I'm so proud of her, so happy she's on our team, everybody. I know you have an interest in nutrition education and outreach, and based on what we discussed today, how do you think that we can reach young adults in the faith-based community regarding the importance of healthy food choices?
I would say that we can reach young adults by social media. A lot of people, TikTok is a big social media that is in a trend now. And pretty much whatever is done on TikTok, if it's a challenge, if it's, make this, a lot of people are doing it. So I would say through social media. And then another way I would say is, like, let's say you have a big group of young adults that you're with, or even like older people, smaller children as well. I would say, like, go somewhere instead of going to like a McDonald's or somewhere that is like more so like a go-to fast food restaurant. I would say go somewhere that would be more healthier, like Core Life and things like that.
That is excellent. So we heard it from our young adult. We want to reach the young adults, which is so important because we got to start earlier. Minister James Tate said that we got to start earlier in educating our children about making these healthier food choices. Where I work, most of the time it's the adults that don't want to eat healthy. The children are willing. So social media, I wrote that down. TikTok, maybe that's where we need to put our challenge, our 10 and 21 day Daniel fast challenge, so you can see that you feel better. Oh, everybody take a look. 1 second, Donna. She's holding up the mac and cheese. And then too, I love what you said. How about this in the faith-based community? Don't take the youth to the fast food restaurants. I can already name some. I won't do that. So some of the fast food, why don't you pick some of the healthier ones, okay? So that they can get used to that. And everybody take, so James, go ahead and put our poll up and everybody take a look at Donna's mac and cheese. Hold up again, Donna. Look at that, everybody. Made with plant-based cheese, okay? So here's a question, please answer. Based on what you learned today, will you start reading food labels? Let's answer that, please. We appreciate it. Based on what you learned today, will you start reading food labels? And she made that with plant-based cheeses. And you will get her recipes on her website. All of the panelists are putting their websites and their books. Anything you guys want them to know, please put it in there. We are going to be, we're recording this. So please put all your information, books that you've written, YouTube channels that you have, wherever you want them to go, please put it in the chat. Or you can end that poll. Let's see. All right. Looks like people will recon. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Next question. Based on what you learned today. Okay, that was the same one. Sorry. Next question. I'll wait till it comes up. All right. Got the next question, James? I still see the same one. Okay, I guess I just don't see it. It didn't come up on my end.
Well, right. So the next question people already answered says, based on what you learned today, will your health become more important than the price of the food, i.e. the dollar menu?
Okay. So we're answering that. Donna, someone said you're making her hungry. That's Dell.
Listen, you got to get in line behind James. That's all I know.
And did the last poll go up? The last poll?
So this is the result. This is the result from the last poll.
Okay, very good.
Result.
All right, panelists, you all did a great job. Okay.
Okay, the last question here.
Faith in action. Okay.
Okay.
Faith in action. Do you think faith-based leaders should offer healthy options at all events that serve food to help members fight and prevent disease? That's important because I tell you, in your congregations, and my friend Donna mentioned that before, maybe it was Dr. Columbus, we've got people in our congregations with diabetes, with heart disease, recovering from a stroke, managing cancer or going through cancer diagnosis and maybe have recovered from cancer or battling cancer. They've got arthritis. They've got, premature aging. I can't name all of them. And again, when we come together, because I'm a pastor, when we come together, unfortunately, when you go there, there's not enough choices for them to even want to make a healthier food choices. So we need to do better. And some of you are saying, well, if I offer this, they won't eat it, they won't come. But the more we do it, it's just like preaching the word of God. If we offer it, they will begin to make the changes. There's members of my church that are on here today. And again, we made a covenant with one another that we would offer, make sure there is a fresh salad there, make sure there is water with fresh fruit inside of it. Make sure that if there is some type of meat there, that it's not all fried. As a matter of fact, I have a picture in the kitchen, no fried chicken at the church, okay? We had to work on that, okay? I know some of you say, oh no, we can't do that. We had to work on that. I said, no fried chicken. People get enough fried chicken. Let's bake it. Let's do everything else with it, but we don't need the fried chicken, okay? And no soda. That's another covenant, no soda. They can tell you. So I'm not telling you they were absolutely happy. It took time to work with it, but they also know that pastors are registered dietitian and we're trying to work together. But all the faith leaders, whatever your title may be, apostle, bishop, I don't know, minister, pastor, whatever it is, we need to work together because in our congregation, yes, we can lay hands, we can pray for the sick, we can anoint them with oil. We believe in all of that, but we also have to put our faith in action. Okay, and then we want to make sure we put the good fuel that we heard in here. And what Donna said earlier, some of you, I know you want to go plant-based now. You're going to just bless your marriage as you do so. The changes will happen for you. So those are all good reasons. So we are excited that you joined us today. So now, I thank each and every panelist. Thank you for the time that you took today. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for sharing your experience. This will not be the last time we do this, but this is a great way to start the year. Look for me reaching back out and all of us coming together in July. July is faith, health, wellness, and nutrition month. I bet you didn't know that. July is faith, health, wellness, and nutrition and fitness month. And we're going to have this panel back again for a part 2 to join us again. So look forward to that information. Now, for those of you who won, it's very important. Each one of the panelists are going to send to me your name. But again, I was moderating. I can juggle a lot of things, but not everything, okay? They're going to send me your names, okay? So hopefully you heard your name. Then you need to email me at Heal Commission. Dell, can you write that in the chat for me? healcommission@aol.com. You want to email healcommission@aol.com by this Wednesday. When I get your email, that will allow me to confirm your email and what you are winning. You're going to either win a Visa gift card, or if I can go back to my screen just a minute, you may win a healthy meal box. Let's see, where is that at? Here it is. A healthy meal box. It may be, I stopped sharing that quick. A healthy meal box, which may come from Purple Carrot. I don't know if you've heard them. They make plant-based meals, and it would be delivered right to your home. So if you wanted to take a look at that, I did it again. I keep canceling it every time I go to it. So anyhow, you might win a healthy meal box from either Purple Carrot or maybe from Hello Fresh, depending on their availability. You know, with the different shipping things that are going on, some things are held up. So it will either be one of these boxes or a Visa digital card. Okay, so look forward to that. But again, make sure you send me your name to Heal Commission by Wednesday the 19th, so we can confirm your email, get all the information that we need from you. And one last time, if you would please for me, let's see, you clap your hands is what I'm trying to say, for each one of our panelists for their time and their effort. We thank you so much, and we thank you for your time, and we pray God's blessings and health and wellness for each and every one of you. God bless you, and thank you again for joining us.
One last thing, Dr. Mitchum, the video for this whole presentation will actually be on the Health Commission's YouTube channel, which will also be on amychealth.org. So as soon as I go and finish processing and everything else, we'll post it on the actual YouTube channel for the Health Commission, and it'll be accessed from the amychealth.org website.
Fantastic. Okay, God bless you. You've been sitting for a long time. Get up and move around, everybody. Get that blood flowing. Thank you again, panelists. Have a great day.